Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilmember Leach is absent. Approval of the agenda. Is there any changes? Council have any? Okay, with hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Brad. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the April 16th, 2025 regular meeting. You all received them in your packet. Is there any questions or corrections needed within that set of minutes? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the April 16th meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. This brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Come up to the podium and state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, I am Scott Whitcup. I represent tonight the Sauk River Watershed District. I'm actually from Albany, but like I said, I'm from the Sauk River Watershed District. I just want to say I'm here in response to last month's moratorium decision on the shoreline work here and in the city on Sauk Lake. And I want to say I support that, and I look forward to working with the city and the DNR to come up with a common course of action. I've only been in this position as permit manager for less than a year, but I'm just as concerned as anyone else about the work that's being done without a permit, because that's part of my job is to deal with permitting. So I want to say thank you for the moratorium, and I look forward to working with the appropriate partners to find a common course of action. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council? Call a third time. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council? Seeing no one, our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. We'll move on to our reports and presentations. Park Board report.
So the Park Board met last night, Tuesday, May 6th, in regular session. They did receive the resignation from Brandon Schindler and also the Public Works report. They reviewed the progress of the camper cabins. They discussed the trail project progress and how that's coming along. They do recommend the excavation project at the Civic Arena Fields, which is by the TriCap building, as well as the purchase of the replacement lawnmower and the sale of the Land Pride Flex mower. So those are items that are all in your packet tonight. And then also they selected dates for the movie in the park night, which will be June 9th or 16th, with the 23rd as a rain date. So for the Park Board, you'll have 3 action items that are requested later on the agenda.
Okay, any questions, concerns? And we will move on to the EDA report.
So the EDA met today in regular session. One of the couple of items of discussion, they discussed potential participation in the development of Canna Avenue, which is off of 12th Street, and it goes south toward that 42-acre parcel next to Walmart, and to see if there's something they can participate to try to further that along. And they also reviewed a potential small city development application for assistance to upgrade heating and add accessible restrooms to an existing business. And also they reviewed the author's addition. There's 3 homes currently under construction. If you go out there, you'll see that the footings are being dug and there's actually dirt being moved around. So those 3 houses will be in this year, and I think the 4th one is working on their permit. So we'll have some activity out there this year.
Okay, any questions or concerns with that? Okay, then we will move on to the 2025 Birch and Pine update. Keith?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Project is going very well out there. At this point, all of the sewer and water and services are in on the 2 blocks of Fifth Street from Ash to Pine. And perhaps by the end of the meeting, everything the same will be done on Birch Street between 5th and 6th. They kind of do it in sort of chunks, doing all the utilities, if you will, and then sort of moving to another chunk. They're actually going to drop back and start on storm sewer on Birch Street, from 5th and heading south. And that'll sort of be then ready to start with the final grading and street improvements and those kinds of things in those areas. So that's what's being worked on. Everything is going well. We really haven't experienced anything out of not, expected. It's old stuff, old sewer and water mains, and sometimes we find things that are unexpected, but nothing overly outlandish. One interesting thing of note, we found on 5th Street between Ash and Birch, the water main was actually threaded steel pipe, which I've never seen in 38 years of this doing this work. So that's not normal, but it was leaking like a sieve. So hopefully we'll stop some of the extraneous water loss that the utility has, unfortunately. So that'll at least help with that done. So that was unique, but we're chugging through those things and getting services kind of where they're supposed to be and those kinds of things that's going on. I know the mayor, you asked about CenterPoint Energy and doing some contacting residents regarding some sewer televising of their sewer services.
Yep.
And I did contact them, and they are doing that. And it's when they directional drill things in, they look and make sure that they didn't actually drill through somebody's service. So that's the purpose for doing it. So it's not something they may be doing everywhere, but where they're doing that type of work, they'll come back in and look and make sure, because they've had some issues in other communities over the years, and it's kind of a loss protection, if you will, for them to look at those kinds of things. So that's what's going on with those. So they probably will be some of that that'll be happening. It's not related to us directly, sort of indirectly, but not us directly. So you do have a pay request for Keekly later on your agenda, and you might note that it's a fairly large amount. The vast majority of it is actually materials on hand. So all of the pipe, everything that's already on site is kind of what we're paying for. Once they get it on site, they can request for that kind of compensation. So that's what that's for. Okay. Any questions for me?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Just one question.
Yeah.
What percentage do you think is complete based on the overall project basis from what we're going to get done in this year? And I'll probably ask that every month because in my mind, I'm curious to see how we stay on track compared to what we anticipated where we would be throughout the summer to see where we get done by the end of the year.
Yep. It'd be, I would say, about an eighth at this point is complete.
Fair.
So, and that would only be the utility side. So
Right.
once they start the street portions, that'll sort of be a concurrent activities, so that, we'll see how that progresses, but the street really, other than removals, the new street improvements haven't started yet, so. But based on my projections, I would say they are on track.
Okay.
To get, unless we come into something that's really unknown, really slows us down, I think they will get it done, or at least certainly the vast majority of it would get done. If there's a block or two left, I would almost see that as kind of almost our worst case scenario for what I see at this particular juncture. So, yeah, so I think it's going really well, and some of the folks who have some old retaining walls are saying, hey, let's just take them down and grade the yards and that, so we'll be doing some of that, so we'll get rid of some of those old, some that are sort of in bad shape, and make things look, I think, a little bit nicer as well. So, yeah, so that's happening as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to refer back to what Keith had talked about with CenterPoint doing the televising, I had talked to Glenn Bauer down at Water and Light, because everyone I talked to had never known anything that CenterPoint subcontracted anybody to do sewer lines. And according to Glenn, it's a mandated thing, from what I understand, ever since they had that explosion downtown St. Cloud, where somebody bored a line through a sewer line and it caused a leak and caused some major problems. So I think from what he could tell me, it sounded like a mandate that came through that anytime they're putting lines through when they have an issue, that they go and televise to find out that they didn't do something wrong. So to me, it was something that we probably should have known about before they did it, even though it's their business. But, you know, I had one resident call me, and I was at their residence when they went and did the televising today, just to ask questions. So
Okay.
it went smooth, didn't even take a half hour.
And I can't personally say whether it's something that's mandated that they do. I'm sure it's a new at least policy that they do for their risk protection, I would think. But I don't know whether it's something that's required by the Utilities Commission or not at this stage.
Yeah, I'm not certain. I think it's at the state level is mandated, because even in the voicemail call that I listened to, it said mandated.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but otherwise, is there any questions for Keith? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to action items. 7A, approve resolution 2025-35, calling for hearing on capital improvement bond.
So a portion of the bond that we expect to be issued to pay for the city improvement projects, the portion funded by capital improvement bond issue requires that a public hearing be held to allow for public comment. The resolution is attached, calling for the public hearing to be held on June 4th. This portion of the bond covers the costs associated with City Hall and the library improvements. That portion of the bond is $720,000. And so what we're looking tonight is simply to call the public hearing. That's Resolution 2025-35, calling for a public hearing on the intention to issue general obligation capital improvement plan bonds and proposal to adopt a capital improvement plan, because we have to have a plan attached to that. So this is simply calling the hearing to be held at the June 4th regular city council meeting.
Questions, concerns? Otherwise, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-35?
So moved.
Motion by Brad. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joel. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7B, approve resolution 2025-36, calling for hearing on property tax abatements.
What this is the portion of that same bond that's going to pay for the improvements for the arena and the senior center. And this is actually what's called an abatement bond. You have different authorities on how we can borrow money. And so this is called an abatement bond. And that also requires a public hearing. So we'll have that public hearing that same night on June 4th. We'll just have the two, one right after the other. So what we're looking to do is adopt resolution 2025-36, calling for the public hearing on the proposed property tax abatement. The portion, this bond portion is $455,000, and that takes care of all the improvements, the arena roof, all of those improvements, and the senior center roof.
Questions? Concerns? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-36?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7C, approve resolution 2025-37, accepting bid for street reclamation project.
So at the meeting on April 2nd, the council authorized the advertisement for bids for the 2025 street reclamation. This was Park Lane, Parkview Drive, and a part of Hendrick Street. Bids were opened on Thursday, May 1st at 11 a.m., and we had 7 bidders. The low bidder was Markley Excavating at $189,200. The bids went all the way up to $284,938, $38.50. So we had quite a wide spread. But we did all the tabulation, and everything looks to be in order for the low bidder of Markley Excavating for $189,200. I do have resolution 2025-37 awarding the bid to him. I do want to say that we had an estimate of $175 when we came to the council. And it did come in at $189,200, which is a little higher than we expected. But then we did have the trail one that came in way lower than we expected, so the two of them will balance each other out quite nicely.
Questions? Concerns?
Do we feel there's anything specific that maybe caused us to come in a little higher, just they're further into the season that may be busier or something?
Actually, the asphalt cost was bid per ton a little bit higher in this
Okay.
project.
Do they have a timeline?
Their they have not given us a timeline, we have to give them a timeline. So when we do the contract, that's when we'll give them the timeline.
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2025-37?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Any other last minute discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7D, approve Resolution 2025-38, authorizing quotes for lawnmower.
So in 2012, the city purchased a 2012 Ferris diesel lawnmower. It's like one of those zero-turn style lawnmowers. It's well beyond its useful life. We're recommending that it be traded or sold and that a new similar mower be purchased from the lowest bidder. The purchase of a replacement motor is in the capital improvement plan. It is in the 2025 parks budget. So we're requesting that staff be allowed to solicit quotes for similar mowers, and those quotes would be brought before the city council at a future date. And so the action is Resolution 2025-38, authorizing the solicitation of quotes for a park mower.
Questions?
Do we have an estimated cost on what we think that's gonna be?
We had in the budget, I think we have 25 there?
We put 25 in there, but it'll be between 15 and 20.
Yeah, it's not gonna be that high.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2025-38?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joel. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor,
Sorry.
none against. That's okay. 7E, approve Resolution 2025-39, authorizing excavation project, Arena.
So this, in 2021, the city entered into an agreement with TRICAP whereby TRICAP would donate property to the city for expansion of the ballpark at the Civic Arena, and the city would cover the cost of excavating for leveling behind their existing building that would allow for their future expansion. And then we get to keep the removed fill to put up onto our property to level that area. The project was to be completed within 1 year, but was delayed. The delayed plans for the field delayed the project. Once the work is complete, the batting cages will be located on the portion of property until a future date when it's needed for the field reconfiguration. We do have $19,000 was set aside in the sinking fund for park land. We do have an updated quote from Elgin Excavating to complete the work for $20,552.40. So this is an obligation that we have with TRICAP to complete this work. And so that is why we brought it forward to kind of get that taken care of. And that's Resolution 2025-39, authorizing the completion of the ball field excavation project.
Questions? Concerns? Yeah, I understand that it's a commitment that we made with TRICAP when we took the property over, but, you know, and it's really nobody's fault, I guess, that the Baseball Association didn't come through with their part. So I guess we really, in my opinion, have no choice but at least take care of that. But I would like to see nothing get put on that until we get an actual plan on what's gonna happen up there and money involved. So I don't wanna spend money on a batting cage for no reason. So with that said, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2025-39?
So moved.
Motion by Brad. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Oh, I'm gonna abstain. I'm on the
You're gonna
Baseball
abstain?
Association
Okay.
board.
Sorry about that. 3 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. 7F, approve resolution 2025-40, authorizing sale of jet ski.
So with the purchase of the one-boat rescue boat for the fire department, the current Sea-Doo jet ski and trailer are no longer needed. They've been offered for sale through the state of Minnesota online bidding. Accepted bids till today at 11:35. Did get a high bidder for $11,226, and I do have that resolution finalized to sell it for that amount. We do have what might be a snafu in the online bidding process, so it might end up going to the second bidder depending on how this all works out, which is $50 less. So at this point, I'd like to authorize the sale of the equipment for the $11,226 to this buyer. We may come back to you and amend that at the next meeting.
Wow,
Okay,
that's crazy.
any discussion, comments?
That's quite a bid.
Yeah, it was at
That's very well.
$4,200
Very
last
nice.
night.
What's that?
It was at $4,200 last night.
One question, then, we're taking Sauk Center Fire Department off of there
Yes.
before that goes out the door, right?
Yes, that's all being taken off.
Okay, all right. I just know the picture still has it on, so that's why I mentioned.
If you actually were online, you could click the description and it tells you more information about it and that the stickers will be removed, so they know that as well.
All right.
Vicky, I just gotta ask, with it being around 4,000 last night and now 11,000 a few hours later, are we sure there's an errors?
No, that's really normal.
Everybody waits till the last minute to
Everybody waits
bid.
till the last minute. You bring it up and watch that last half hour and it's just jumping.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
they pretty much all do that.
And you're like,
interesting. Okay,
In this situation, I think that pretty much everybody knows it's close to being new.
yeah.
well, it's got
hasn't been
69
used.
hours on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Fair.
Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-40?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, do I have a second? I'll second it. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carries 2 in favor, none against, 2 abstentions.
Does that actually pass?
Can I do that?
Or ask.
Does that actually pass then?
Yeah, because they don't count.
I know, but 2, it's,
2 is enough, 2 to 5.
When you abstain, it basically rolls with the
it goes with the majority
of the other votes.
anyway.
Of the remaining?
Yeah,
All right.
that's right.
Thanks.
So is it 2-0, their vote just follows you.
For the public's knowledge, it doesn't
Exactly.
happen that often. That's the reason why we have to ask.
That's right.
Okay, approve resolution 2025-41, authorizing sale of land pride.
So if you remember last fall, we purchased that new flex mower in the fall of '24. At that time, the council authorized that the current land pride flex mower would be offered for sale, but they wanted it to wait till spring of '25 to get some better money, they felt. So we did accept bids till today at 11:30, and we got $5,275. So we'd like to approve resolution 2025-41, authorizing the sale of the land pride flex mower to John Reif for $5,275.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-41?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Last minute discussion. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7H, approve pay request number 1, Keekly Underground 2025 CIP project.
As Keith had mentioned earlier, this is our first pay request for the Birch and Pine project to Keekly Underground. The value completed to date was $217,389.02 plus materials on hand of $538,466.97, meaning a total amount earned of $755,855.99. A retained 5% as a retainage, leaving a net amount owed of $718,063.20. So that's the amount we're asking to approve pay request number 1 to Keekly Underground.
Questions?
Is all that material on hand, or all that material here on site?
Yes, yes. It's
It is.
been piled
Okay.
out there.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? Do I have a motion to approve pay request number 1?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7I, approve resolution 2025-42, accepting bid for hangar project.
So on April 2nd, the council approved the plans and specs for the construction of a box hangar at the airport. This project will be paid for with AIG, which is Airport Improvement Grants, and AIP, which is Airport Improvement Funds. These are federal funds allocated to the city of Sauk Center, and they will cover 95% of the cost. The city's local share of the construction is $25,098.62. Bids were opened on April 30th with the following results. Everstrong Construction was $852,944.80, and the high bid was $1,317,196.18. And the engineer's estimate was $1,150,000, so we came in quite a bit under the engineer's estimate. They have been reviewed by the city's consultant at Bolton Mank for accuracy, and he is recommending the low bid of Everstrong Construction for $852,944.80. That is resolution 2025-42.
Questions and concerns?
My question is, if it was only 5% that the city's share was, that would be roughly 40-some thousand, but we only have our cost at 25. Is
Yeah,
there?
we've got a MnDOT section in between there. They pay a couple percent too, MnDOT
They
Aeronautics.
pay 2.5.
Okay, so ours is basically 2.5%.
Yep.
Very good, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-42, awarding the bid to Everstrong?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7J, approve staff step adjustments.
Various city employees are in line for step adjustment according to the union contracts and personnel policy. Joe Jensen to step 7, Matt Mormon to step 8, Preston Otterer to step 4, Dustin Von Walde to step 8, Austin Kowski to step 3, and Nathan Reynolds to step 5. I guess we had a lot of activity in April and May last year. So we're just acknowledge the staff step adjustments as presented.
Any questions or concerns? Do I have a motion to acknowledge those staff step adjustments?
So moved.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Motion by Brad, seconded by Joe.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carries 3 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. 7K, accept resignation from Park Board.
Brandon Schindler has submitted his resignation from the Park Board, and I did include his email that he sent saying he's ready to formally submit his resignation. Due to increasing demands in his work schedule, he finds himself unable to dedicate the time and attention necessary to fulfill his responsibilities. And I won't read the rest of it. You have it all in your packet, but we need to accept the resignation of Brandon Schindler from the Park Board. And then we would advertise for someone to fill that position.
Questions? Otherwise, I'll look for a motion to accept the resignation of Brandon Schindler.
How long was he on?
6
So-
months?
He just got on at the beginning of the year.
January.
Beginning of the
Yeah.
year.
Oh, so we just appointed him.
Yeah, he was
Too bad.
2 meetings.
His work switched him up on his hours, so.
Right,
Got it.
so. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation?
So moved.
Motion by Brad. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Scott. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Unfinished business, building repair projects.
Just kind of update a little bit. The shingled roof portion of the City Hall was completed last week. The membrane roofing at the arena and at City Hall began this week. And also the air handling unit replacement began this week. And so we don't have air or heat or anything in the building for this week and next week. And hopefully by the end of next week, we'll be back online since it's going to be in the 80s. Because it was 89 in my office yesterday. So The City Hall controlled access is nearing completion. I believe Friday, we're gonna go on live with that. The Senior Center roof will follow the City Hall and Arena. The website is under construction. The arena doors, windows, and locker rooms will be completed over the summer months, so when we're closed up there. The library windows will be in the fall in September. And then the flooring project bids will be presented to the City Council at the next meeting on May 21st. It's be a potential September, October project. So we're gonna be pushing through pretty much all of these projects in the near future, except for the library windows and the flooring projects, which will be a fall project.
Questions? Concerns? Hopefully they get your air conditioning before it really gets done.
I think it's supposed to be 85 all week next week, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's gonna be
Early
hot.
next week, it's supposed to be getting upper
Hot.
80s.
Yeah,
Ouch.
the next bill will be fans. Okay, no other questions on that. We have no new business. We'll move on to our consent agenda. We have schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $908,998.61, paid claims of $75.25, for a total of $909,073.86. We have Resolution 2025-43, accepting contributions of $152.50 from the Men's Card Playing Group to be allocated to the Senior Center, $50 from Winter's Recreation to be allocated to the Ambulance Department, $200 from Norma Manning to be allocated to the Ambulance Department, $100 from an anonymous donor to be allocated to the Senior Center, and $200 from Leroy Moritz to be allocated to the Fire Department. And on behalf of the city and the council, I want to thank those people or groups for their contributions. We also have gambling application for event permit request from the Sauk Center Snow Cleats for a raffle on October 8th, 2025 at the Sauk Center Snow Cleats Clubhouse. Also a gambling application for exempt permit request from the Sauk Center Lions Club for pull tabs for August 6th through 9th, 2025, and a raffle for August 9th, 2025 at the Stearns County Fairgrounds. Do I have any questions about the consent agenda as presented? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Scott. Last minute discussion. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Informational items.
Just have two informational items. The Water Fest is tomorrow. This year it is scheduled for Melrose, and they haven't had it for some time because of either weather or construction. It always gets diverted to the arena. It looks like this year it will actually be held in Melrose, and that's when we gather up all the fourth graders from all over the country and bring them in. So, and then also we have your franchise notice from Spectrum regarding a name change on one of their channels.
Okay, any questions or concerns about that? We do have a closed session coming up, so with that, we will recess this meeting until we get the council chambers cleared. Okay, we will reconvene the regular council meeting. We just came out of closed session. During that session, we provided our attorney direction as far as pending litigation on potential land acquisition of the Heron parcel. And with that, that brings us to the end of our meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.